Tonight, I'm going to share a story that began at the Alcatraz Island, a story that changed my life forever. My name is Alex Carter, and as a journalist with a taste for the macabre, I'd come to uncover the secrets of this notorious rock. But as the boat docked and I set foot on the island, a chilling sense of dread washed over me. This was no ordinary assignment. This was Alcatraz, where history's most notorious criminals lived, and perhaps still lingered. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Stepping off the boat, the weight of the island's dark history pressed down on me. The cracked, weathered concrete seemed to breathe with a life of its own, whispering the stories of the souls that once walked its grounds. The air was thick with an unspoken tension, a promise of something sinister lurking just beyond the veil of the ordinary. This wasn't just another assignment. This was a journey into the heart of darkness. The abandoned prison loomed ahead, its silent corridors beckoning me into their depths. I began my exploration, my footsteps echoing through the empty halls. The silence was oppressive, almost tangible, broken only by the occasional creak of metal and the distant murmur of the bay. Then I heard it, a faint, indistinct whisper, as if the walls themselves were trying to speak. The sound sent a chill through me, but I shook it off, blaming it on the wind and the old building settling. Still, a growing sense of unease gnawed at me. The deeper I ventured, the more intense the eerie atmosphere became. Shadows danced along the walls, seemingly alive, and the temperature fluctuated unnaturally. I reached the cell block known as D Block, infamous for housing the most dangerous inmates in solitary confinement. Here the air was colder, heavier. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed through the corridor, startling me. I spun around, heart pounding, but saw nothing. Just as I began to relax, a door creaked open slowly behind me. I whipped around, flashlight beams slicing through the darkness, but there was no one there. Venturing deeper, I reached the isolation cells of D Block. The air here was colder, the shadows darker. Suddenly, I felt a sharp drop in temperature, an icy chill that made my breath visible. A shadow flickered at the edge of my vision, and as I turned, I saw her. She was standing there, a figure of ethereal beauty with an air of mystery. "I'm Emma," she introduced herself, claiming to be a researcher obsessed with Alcatraz's haunted past. Her calm, composed demeanor was a stark contrast to the unsettling surroundings. Emma offered to guide me through the prison, and I accepted, drawn to her like a moth to a flame. There was something about her, something that made me feel safe, even here in this place of darkness. We began our exploration together, her knowledge of the prison's history adding depth to the chilling atmosphere. As we walked through the darkened corridors, she recounted tales of infamous inmates and unexplained occurrences. Despite the eerie environment, her presence was oddly comforting. Over the next few days, Emma and I explored the prison together, our bond growing stronger with each discovery. She shared insights and personal stories, revealing layers of depth that I found irresistible. Despite the eerie occurrences, cold spots, objects moving on their own, and shadows lurking just out of sight, Emma remained unfazed. Her presence was a soothing balm to my growing anxiety. One night, while we were in the prison's library, a stack of old books toppled over seemingly on its own. The loud crash echoed through the silent room, making us both jump. Emma's calm demeanor never wavered. "It's just the spirits trying to get our attention," she said with a serene smile. I found her composure both reassuring and intriguing. There was something otherworldly about her that drew me in. I found myself falling for her, captivated by her knowledge and the enigmatic aura that surrounded her. It wasn't just the ghostly encounters that drew me in. It was Emma herself. She was an enigma, and I was determined to unravel her story. Determined to understand the haunting, we delved into Alcatraz's history. Together, we uncovered the tragic story of Robert Stroud, the infamous Birdman of Alcatraz. Stroud's years in solitary confinement and the rumors of his restless spirit fascinated me. The deeper we dug, the more obsessed I became with uncovering the truth and helping Stroud find peace. Emma's insights were invaluable. She seemed to have an uncanny connection to the prison's history, providing details that weren't in any records. My obsession grew, but so did my determination to bring closure to Stroud's tormented spirit. One particularly chilling night, as we were combing through old records in the warden's office, the temperature plummeted, frost formed on the windows, and our breath hung in the air. Suddenly the lights flickered, and a shadow moved across the room. I froze, flashlight clutched tightly in my hand. Emma remained calm, her eyes following the shadow as it passed. "He's here," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Robert Stroud. The ghost of Robert Stroud began to make his presence known more directly. I experienced disturbing visions and dreams, reliving Stroud's life in solitary confinement and the events leading up to his death. These visions were terrifying, but Emma was always there, grounding me as the haunting intensified. One night, I woke up drenched in sweat, the vivid image of Stroud's ghostly face etched in my mind. His eyes were hollow, filled with despair and anger. As I sat up, trying to shake off the nightmare, I heard a whisper. "Help me! The voice was faint but clear. It sent chills down my spine. Emma, sensing my distress, placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "We're getting closer," she said softly. "He's reaching out to you." My mental state began to deteriorate. The line between reality and the supernatural blurred, but my love for Emma kept me going. Her calm presence was my anchor in this storm of ghostly encounters. Determined to end the haunting, I decided to confront Stroud's ghost. The encounter was terrifying. Stroud's tormented appearance sent waves of fear through me, and the atmosphere became charged with tension. As I faced him, Emma began to reveal fragments of her own past. Strange inconsistencies in her story started to emerge, and a horrifying realization began to dawn on me. The climax of our investigation came on a stormy night. The wind howled outside, and rain lashed against the prison walls. Emma and I ventured into the most haunted part of Alcatraz, the old hospital wing. The air was thick with a sense of dread, and every shadow seemed to hide a lurking presence. As we reached the end of the corridor, the temperature dropped drastically. Our breath became visible, and a sense of impending doom settled over us. Suddenly, the lights flickered and went out, plunging us into darkness. I fumbled for my flashlight, the beam slicing through the pitch-black void. That's when we saw him. Robert Stroud's ghost stood before us, his hollow eyes staring into mine. His presence was overwhelming, filling the room with a suffocating despair. I felt my knees go weak, but Emma's steady hand on my arm kept me grounded. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice trembling. Stroud's ghostly form flickered, and a low, mournful wail filled the air. Images flashed before my eyes, Stroud's life in solitary confinement, the cruelty he endured, and the darkness that consumed him. As the visions intensified, Emma began to speak, her voice soft and filled with sorrow. "Robert, we're here to help you. Show us what you need." The ghost's form grew more solid, and he pointed towards an old, rusted door at the end of the corridor. We approached the door cautiously, the air growing colder with each step. Behind it, we found a hidden room, untouched for decades. Inside, there was a small wooden box. Emma opened it carefully, revealing a collection of letters and personal belongings. Among them was a journal, detailing Stroud's final days. Reading through the journal, we uncovered the truth. Stroud had been tormented by the spirits of Alcatraz, driven to madness by their relentless presence. His spirit was trapped, unable to find peace. Emma and I knew what we had to do. Emma's true identity was a shocking discovery. She wasn't just a researcher, she was a former inmate who had died under mysterious circumstances. Emma was a ghost, reliving her final days, unaware of her own death. Her spirit had been drawn back to Alcatraz to uncover the truth, just like me. Heartbroken, I helped Emma understand her tragic end. As we uncovered the details of her death, her spirit began to find peace. Emma's acknowledgement of her fate was both heart-wrenching and beautiful. She faded away, bringing closure to her story and Stroud's. Standing alone on Alcatraz, I reflected on the love I had found and lost. The island still held its mysteries, and I knew its ghosts would always be there, waiting to tell their stories. As I left the prison, the whispers of Alcatraz lingered in my mind, a reminder that some stories never truly end. As the dawn broke over the bay, I boarded the boat back to San Francisco, the island's silhouette growing smaller in the distance. The experience had changed me. I had come seeking a story and left with a profound connection to the past and its restless spirits. Alcatraz had given me more than just a tale to tell. It had given me a glimpse into the eternal struggle between the living and the dead. And as the boat pulled away, I couldn't help but look back one last time. The mist had lifted slightly, and for a brief moment, I thought I saw Emma standing at the edge of the dock watching me leave. Her figure was ethereal, almost transparent, but her presence was undeniable. She smiled, a look of peace and gratitude on her face, before fading into the morning light. The whispers of Alcatraz would stay with me forever, a haunting reminder that some souls never truly rest. They remain, bound by the stories left unfinished, waiting for someone to listen, to understand, and to help them find the peace they so desperately seek. As I returned to the mainland, I knew my life would never be the same. The shadows of Alcatraz had left their mark on my soul, and the whispers of its ghosts would continue to echo in my mind. But despite the darkness, there was a strange comfort in knowing that I had been a part of something bigger, something timeless. And so, with a heavy heart and a newfound understanding of the supernatural, I stepped off the boat and back into the world, carrying with me the whispers of Alcatraz and the love of a ghost who had found her peace.